Tubers, tubettes, and of course my inner circle of crazy people. So the title of this little video is going to be something to the effect of, is it cheaper to keep her? And I'm referring to something that's been bouncing in my head, my small reptilian brain, for about 3 years. So this little video is 3 years in the making. And it never occurred to me to make this video until today. And the reason I'm making it is that I think I found the answer. And I wanted to share it with you guys. Now, when we're talking about money and budgets, normally we go off on, what we spend for this and what we spend for that. That's not this video. That's not what this is about. In many videos, when we're talking about having a Filipina girlfriend, we go off on tangents like, should I have her quit her job and move in with me and replace the income? Or should I give her an allowance? Should I support her family? Well, I've seen all those videos. I've done those videos. I'm sure you've watched those videos. I think they're good. I think they're informative. But that's not going to be this video. This video is going to be more of an individual reflection and reaction to that question. And for the last 2 or 3 years, I have bounced it in and out of my head, not out of desire, but just out of curiosity. And what would my life be like if I had stayed single? I've been here approximately 6 years, and if we use round numbers, it's not perfect here, but if we use just round numbers, 2 years I was single for the most part, and dating, or not dating. And then for 4 years, round numbers, I've been with May in a committed monogamous relationship. And I couldn't figure out for the life of me why I haven't spent any more or any less money living with another person than I did when I was single. Because if you look at the topical, if you look at it on the surface, rather, it almost doesn't make sense because you've got another person to take care of. I'm the main breadwinner, right? So I'm not buying one hamburger anymore. I'm buying 2 if we go out. If she needs something like, whatever, toothpaste or an outfit or a pair of shoes or something, that's usually on me. But why hasn't my budget changed? And is it a better life for me, not for you, but for me, to be single and just kind of bouncing around, or in the relationship? So I'd like to review a few points on that with you. When I was single, the old 1 hamburger, 2 hamburger theory went right out the window. Because when I did go out, I always went out with somebody, and it was usually a Filipino or a Filipina, or sometimes just another expat. And more often than not, for whatever reason, I would pick up the check. Not necessarily with the expat, but usually we'd split it. But if I was with a Filipino or with a Filipina, it was my treat, because obviously I have a better income or status than they do. And it's just sort of a thing that's expected. And I'm a social creature, so I did go out a lot. I did have a fairly wide circle of friends, and would go out and enjoy myself during the day, during the evening, for lunch, whatever, trips, vacations, go with people, and I always stayed within my budget, but I was the one that was kind of treating it. The reason that I stayed within the budget is because when I was single, I set limits, I set boundaries, and I knew, what we could afford, or what I could afford, if we were going to go do this tonight, or if we were going to go there tomorrow, and I stuck to it. So a little bit of discipline involved. Now, when I met May, she was working. She worked as a caterer. And I took my own advice when I first met her, and I liked her, but we had kind of a rocky start. And I slowed down. I didn't, rush right into moving her into the place with me. I think we were bouncing around for 6 or 7 months before that even happened. And once she moved in, she continued to work. And I always felt that when I met May, after having been single for the almost proverbial 2 years, that I'd kind of met a unicorn because of the way that her attitude was towards money. When I would offer her money, when we were first dating, I would offer her money for a trike ride home if she'd been over to my house, or apartment rather. And she'd say, no, it's okay, I got money. And never accept it. I've mentioned it before that she's had issues with her family that I didn't find out about till months later, and she just paid for it out of her money. So I kind of knew that she was not going to be, over time, I knew that she was not going to be the type of person that was just going to be constantly dipping into my pocket. And that was a relief after having felt the opposite as a single guy. But that may have just been the type of characters that I was hanging out with at the time. I'll never be able to answer that question because that time is over. But with May, I feel like I'm getting much more bang for my buck. And I also feel that I save an awful lot of money just by her educating me, and via osmosis over time. Because I tend to be the one that says, hey, let's go do this, and let's go here, and let's buy this, and let's buy that. And you know what? Even though she always says, hey, it's up to you. You're the leader. I'll do what you want to do. I'll support you. But she'll say, I think we might want to put the brakes on that. She'll just make the suggestion. I don't think that's a good idea. And I'll say, well, why? And so a lot of times I override her. But for the osmosis part of creeping into my body, 4 years is a long time. And there has been a distinct change in my education where I have been unconsciously rewired by this woman. And she leads by example. Her ability to cut back, live simple, be simple, and never forget where she came from is really quite a testimony to her. And every day I feel sort of blessed by the fact that she is in my life, and hopefully I've been able to help her. When I mentioned that when I met her, she was working. I don't know if I mentioned it or not, but some guys will meet a woman and they'll be working and they'll say, hey, you move in with me and that 10,000 pesos a month you were earning, I'll just give it to you. I never did that. I gave her YouTube, and she started it, and I supported it, and I guided her as best as I could. And now she is light years ahead of where she was when she was catering. So that maybe is my little contribution to her. Her contribution to me, aside from the love and the affection and the attention that she gives me, is also she's managed to rewire me, to slow me down, and remind me of where I came from and what my ultimate goals were. When I start going off the reservation, she has this very gentle, unique way of pulling me back on and putting me back on course. So I would say, in sort of a summary, that she has saved me money. She has taught me a little more humility, if you will. She has taught me not to forget where you come from and what you had 3 years ago compared to what you have today, and to stay the course. One thing that I cannot say about any of the people that I was hanging out with, and we're all still friends, by the way, for the most part. There's a couple out there that, things happen. But for the most part, still friends with them. But when I look at May, she is the first woman in my life, and I've been married twice, that I honestly know that she deeply, deeply cares for me. And I for her. I know that when, for the last 3 or 4 days, May's not been feeling well. The reason May has not been feeling well is because her father is not feeling well. And he is kind of her idol, if you will. He's been, a poor dirt farmer all of his life. And she respects him to the moon and back for what he's done for her and what his dreams and ambitions were for her. And she's very proud that she's able to show him that she has achieved some of his dreams and some of his ambitions that he had for her via me. And when May was not feeling well, she was not feeling well because of her father. And I wasn't feeling mentally well. I was physically fine. But I didn't feel mentally well because she was down and I was concerned. And I stalled things off. I canceled appointments. I had agreed to meet somebody for coffee and said, I can't make it today. I'm going to stay home. And that's exactly what I did because I wanted to be nearby. When I've been physically ill, man, I can't tell you. I was sound asleep I'll never forget, I was sound asleep one time. I opened my eyes and May was like this, looking at me, to make sure I was still breathing. And it startled me. But she's always would be checking my head and running over and getting a decongestant or getting an Advil or whatever, and telling me to drink water and do this and do that, and kind of dolting on me. And she doesn't do that after 4 years of time if she was just here for a nicer surrounding. That's true affection and love. And I didn't feel true affection and love when I lived in the States, and I didn't feel true affection and love when I was single and going out with the gang, if you will. I can honestly tell you that being in the committed relationship, now that we understand that the budget hasn't changed because she slowed me down and educated me, I think I have educated her to some degree. And I know for a fact that if someone shot a gun at May, that I would be first one to get in front of that bullet and take it for her. Conversely, if someone took a shot at me, I know in my heart of hearts that May, without even a second thought, would stand up and take that bullet for me, as opposed she would rather end her life than mine. And I feel the same way about her. So that is something that I don't know how to fit into a budget. And if I think about it long enough, how do you put a price on something like that? I thank you for staying with me through the end of the video, and hopefully I'll be able to see you in the next one.